This week, we're celebrating our friend and colleague, Steve Fiorina.
As he moves on to the next adventure in his life, we're taking a look back at an amazing 35-year career here in San Diego. Our 10 News anchor Kimberly Hunt has worked with Steve for many years and joins us now with more.
Incredible is the right word, Steve. It certainly is. And it's been my honor and privilege to work with such an amazing journalist. Steve Fiorina has covered thousands of stories and seen the best and the worst of humanity. Today, a look back at some of those infamous crimes and the fight for justice.
Parked on death row right now, one of San Diego's first known serial killers, a carpet cleaner from Casa de Oro, David Allen Lucas. I knocked on his door months before he was a suspect. Later came the arrest, and I recognized him in the house and wondered how I'd wound up there. We had assignment editor J.W. August hypnotized, and he remembered a phone call from a woman saying, "There's a murderer at this address." He wrote it on a slip of paper, which also had the address of the fire captain who had rescued a woman left for dead on a rural hillside that very morning. I mistakenly zeroed in on the address for Lucas and knocked on his door. He answered, shoeless, shirtless, and in jeans. His attitude, he just was so calm. It was a day at the park for him. And it was 10 or 12 hours after he cut the throat of a woman and left her to die. That woman survived and testified at his trial. Lucas was charged with 6 throat-slash murders, 4 women and 2 small children. He was convicted of 3 and the attempted murder, sentenced to death almost 30 years ago. Another serial killer, Cleophas Prince Jr., was sent to death row in 1993. 6 murder victims. Labeled the Claremont Killer, he targeted women at their most vulnerable, often when he could hear them in the shower after following them home after a workout. Betty Broderick was a La Jolla socialite who once drove her SUV through the front door of her ex-husband's home in Hillcrest. Later, in 1989, sneaking in and shooting to death high-profile attorney Dan Broderick and his second wife as they lay in bed.
I moved, they moved, the gun went off, and it was like, ah!
She has come up for parole several times, but denied freedom. Last year, she wrote a letter thanking me for attending the latest hearing, lashing out at what she called the Good Old Boys Club in San Diego's legal community as wanting to really stick it to Betty Broderick. Robert F. Kennedy's assassin had his most recent parole hearing at Donovan State Prison a couple of years ago. Sirhan was turned down for the 15th time. Jailhouse interviews on occasion over the years. We have had too many school and workplace shootings and terror threats. 2 San Diego mayors were forced out of office and faced charges. Roger Hedgecock in the mid-'80s, charged with illegal campaign contributions. Bob Filner in 2013 after allegations of sexual harassment. And there's the mysterious death of Rebecca Zahau, found nude, bound, and hanging from a balcony at her boyfriend's mansion in Coronado. No criminal trial. Sheriff's detectives declared her death a suicide. It was suggested she felt guilt over the death of Jonah Shacknai's 6-year-old son Adam, who had fallen down a staircase while in her care. A civil trial awarded Zahau's mother $5 million in damages, ruling that the boyfriend's brother was responsible. Adam Shacknai denied any involvement.
36203.
2-year-old Jahi Turner vanished in 2002, his body never found, despite a massive search of the Miramar landfill. His stepfather went on trial this year, but the jury deadlocked on his guilt. Tyree Jones was set free. And in 1992, the first execution in California in 25 years, it was a San Diego man, Robert Alton Harris, who had killed 2 boys. He followed them to Miramar Lake with their fishing poles. He shot them saying, "Die like a man," and they ate their hamburgers. He was executed. I was one of 3 reporters allowed to witness that execution as the hearse that carried Harris's body slowly drove off the prison grounds that chilly morning. Several of the guards I saw smiling and lighting up victory cigars. 2 separate front-page cop killers were put on trial as well. Sagan Penn, Joselito Cinco, each of them later committed suicide. So let's put all this to rest as we move to tomorrow night when we look at wonderful things that I've been fortunate to cover since 1984. Padres, Chargers, all sorts of angels.
Yes, you've covered it all. But before we get to tomorrow, we're just talking, we're looking at serial killers, we're looking at sexual misconduct for very powerful politicians. And I just want to say, as I've watched you through all these years, what you have throughout is judgment. You always get the story. You've never not gotten it, but you get it with integrity and safety. There's just so much in each one of these that you had to contend with, and each time you brought it home.
Well, thank you, Kim. It's sometimes difficult, but we lean on each other, and I'm rarely out there by myself. There's always a photographer and sometimes some others too. So
you're a humble guy. Can't wait till tomorrow.
And been our go-to guy for many of those hardcore stories. It's going to be missed. All right, thank you.